Today we are discussing the transition of students into the world of work and how the SLED model or framework can be of importance in this field.
I'm Dr. Frelet Villiers. I'm the head of the department at the School of Music, University of the Free State here in Bloemfontein in South Africa. I teach music pedagogy. Helga, I think we can just start this very interesting conversation. It's so near to my heart. With the first question, what is your impression about the qualifications that universities offer and the need in the field and in the actual world of work?
Yeah, it is really a very interesting topic, and I must say it's a concern. If one considers the high unemployment of graduates and also the high turnover of employees in the corporate world, the question does arise, what is happening at the universities? Are we preparing our students for the world of work? Or are we focusing on something that is not really the world of work? We are maybe focusing too much on the curriculum, on the theory part, on the knowledge part, but that step between the two worlds, and that is a concern. I'm not convinced that our universities at this point are preparing our students well enough. So if we consider this, we have been talking about the Seniors Learning Experience Design Framework. And if we consider that, and I've been working on this framework and we have published a paper on it, we have done research with this international research group. Now, if we consider the Seniors Learning Experience Design Framework, is there a specific concept that you would think one would need to improve this situation?
Yes, I think that was our idea by just creating this model, is to help lecturers in recurriculating their curriculums and modules. Unfortunately, we don't have time to unpack everything about the model, and people can just read our article. It boils down to 5 concepts, and that is the core concepts: positive, practical, human, and design concepts. So the core concepts incorporating alternative teaching and learning approaches, expert engagement, innovation, student networking, all of that must be incorporated into your module. The second group is positive concepts, is focusing on the student-centered practical experiences, preparation for the future, real-time interaction, and remote access. So for me, this group of concepts are really the most important of all the different concepts that we have, just specifically for globalization, for your practical experience, for the real-time interaction with experts, going into the field, see what's being done out there. So for me, positive concepts are really the most important. And then we also have other concepts like the practical concepts, which is now establishment of your policies, which I think is lacking at most of our universities, especially with incorporating AI, which is really a very big thing at this stage. And then we have the human concepts, which are now skill sets, time management, technology, training, all of that is part of the human concept. And then design concepts will be feasibility. Is it really not feasible to actually change your curriculum? How can we implement it, and different learning approaches? So yeah, I can actually ask you, when you consider the SLED framework, do you think that certain aspects should be included in the syllabus? And if so, which ones do you think will be the best?
I honestly think that, as you said, all of the concepts are important. But if one considers this issue, this problem that we have worldwide, it's not only in our country, South Africa, because both of us come, but is that high unemployment rate of graduates, and also even moving from one job to another, feeling they don't feel equipped for what they initially hoped for. So I do think that the practical application of the content and the curriculum, that's one of the most important concepts for this situation. Now, in terms of practical, we do know that we have all the quality assurances in our curriculum. So we can't just go ahead and say, can we adding additional hours into the curriculum? But we need
Exactly.
to definitely think about how are we going to incorporate more experience into that field, into their curriculum.
Definitely. I mean,
So
you're talking, yeah.
yes, if you think about lecturers, we try to improve our lecturers' approaches and also their knowledge, how they would be teaching. Do you think that they have enough information about what's going on in industry? What do you think? Is there maybe a disconnect between the content that's taught in the class and the actual application of the content? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a disconnect. I think it's not that we don't know what's going on out there. I think we
Yes.
know what's going out there. I'm a musician. I know what is expected of you, how to organize a
Yes.
concert and all of that. But we think our students know and they don't. So, there are also many of us who have been in industry before becoming a lecturer. I've been a piano lecturer, a teacher, like a piano teacher for more than 20
Yes.
years. So I know it's out there, but we are so overwhelmed and swamped by aspects in the academia like graduate attributes and exit level outcomes and core outcomes and
Yeah.
continuous assessment. So I think we are so overwhelmed by all of this and we lose track of what's really important and lose focus of the content and what we need to teach the students to help them prepare. So to answer your question, there's definitely a disconnect and we have to rectify that. And I hope that our podcast today will also inspire lecturers and just see what we can do to change the situation. So yeah, I don't know what you think about that as well.
No, absolutely agree. And if one considers the performance of students at universities, you might have students that do really well, but then you also have students that don't do well.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that we prepare them well enough for what is waiting.
Yes, definitely. You are talking about the students and passing rates. I also was
Yes.
thinking about that if we compare the performance of our students at universities and we see how many are actually not passing the very minimum low standard of 40%. When thinking about all of this, do you think there's a connection between pass rate, dropout rate, and then also then what's happening out there in the workspace?
It makes one wonder. If you look at how high the dropout rate is at universities and how low the pass rate is, I'm really concerned about this 40%. Looking at stats, this is now specifically in the South African context, but also in a global context, the pass rates can definitely improve. If we can prepare our students in a different way, in a more work of world appropriate way, it could improve not only their pass rate in the universities, because if we really do research and find out what is it that these students are not passing, and then look at the same question, what is it that students they are not employed or they don't stay long in the world of work. So I do think that one definitely needs to do more research in what is needed in the world of work.
Yeah.
Not asking what are the requirements of the quality standards and all of that. Rather ask the question, what is needed?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
Even
now,
practical aspects like time management and resilience
yeah,
and problem solving, even aspects like that is also important. Yeah.
if we look at all these concerns, what do you suggest? How could we address them?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I think there are various ways to address it, and I'm sure there are nice and wonderful plans out there. But for me personally, I think we need to emphasize practical applications.
Yes.
I would love to see that we do the theory in class, and then my students go out into the workspace, perhaps shadowing a lawyer or shadowing someone who's organizing a concert, or just work with that person for 2 or 3 weeks, coming back to class, talk about their experiences, perhaps get a report from the person where they work, talking about what was needed, what did they think they lack that they didn't know, and then address that in the class again, talk about that, do research about that. I just think it is, we are not in the olden days where the lecturer stands in front and just reads stuff from the handbook anymore. We need our hands-on approach for the students to actually also see, is this really what they want to do for the next 40 years of their life? So yeah, practical applications, going out there, getting to know the workspace and everything what's out there. But I think you also talked with students regarding this now. Any specific concerns that they may have and that needs to be addressed in terms of improving their learning and their practical experience. I think we talked about that, and you did talk to some students about that.
Yes, I did. I did speak to students because I do think that we need to hear their voice. And I thought instead of asking students that are on campus, what do they think? I asked students that were already finished. So these were students that are in the world of work had left the university a year or 5 years ago, and are asking them, do you think that the content that you receive and also the experience that you have at university is relevant? And you know what's very interesting is that it actually speaks to what we have been talking about today, that they do feel that the university is following a bit of a medieval approach. They say that they are the new generation, and they say we need to think about how can a student be prepared for the challenges that come, that one needs to bring in more practical, as we were saying, but in an experiential environment where they can go into the field and work there. So instead of having a full-time course at university, do a year at university and then maybe in the world of work, and some of the theory would be online. So blended, but in a whole long time frame. So that would be something one could consider. And there are many things that one can look at, especially now that we have advanced in technologies so much, to bring those blended approaches into the world of work as well. So there could be a practical and a theoretical part hand in hand working together. So the curriculum should really be looking into that.
Yes,
But
definitely.
if we consider where our students come from, do you think that there's a connection between their background, where they learn in the basic education, and the universities, and then also pulling that thread through to the world of work? Do you think there is a connection?
Yeah. I can only talk from my own experience as a lecturer at the music department. We get so many students from rural areas who possess this raw talent, especially for singing, and just have this nuanced way of doing things. They did not have the same opportunities as the more privileged students. They did not even have instruments in school or experts teaching them. They are resilient, they are eager, and they have the most amazing work ethics. And they're actually the ones making it, since they have to work so hard to achieve what they do. And I have the utmost respect for that. Some of our students don't even have their own computers and tablets that we actually need in this day and age. So I actually want to ask you, do you think that lecturers are including technology in an effective way to improve the learning for the students?
Yes, I think there's a very big emphasis on technology these days, especially with developments of AI. Access to technology is a problem, especially in our country where we don't, or where affordability is a problem. But I have also noticed that how many students have their own phones, so they can use that if there's additional information loaded or so. But I think lecturers in general, I'm not saying everybody, but from the perspective where I am as an instructional designer, I can really see that there is still a very high percentage of lecturers that are not using and not including technology in an effective way. They would still use their Blackboard just to load the content, but they don't use it into interactive platform where they can have students talk to each other as well. So I do think that there is still a need for lecturers to learn more about technology and how to apply it effectively. So in this way, it's not a standalone question here, it also fits into preparing our students in the for the world of work by using technologies that are used in the world of work. And so yeah, I do believe that we need to focus on that. If we want to see how can we bridge the gap between school, university, and the world of work, what would you suggest? Not just as a bringing it all together here.
Yeah. Yes, we can talk about this for days, but when we need to get to practical points, I think from a mentoring, getting experts, shadowing the people in the workplace, and actually get experts to talk to students. I got a journalist coming to talk to my arts management students, and they were amazed by what's actually happening out there, and talking about deadlines and what needs to be part of the article and all of that. I'm sure you also have a lot that you can add to this.
Yes, I do believe that we need to start with the decision makers, start at the policy level. Although we need to listen to our students and look at the world of work, so we bring all of these role players together to take a very serious look at our curriculum and really work on improving the teaching and learning approaches in the university so we can actually prepare the students on the content, but also, as you said right at the beginning, prepare them to be critical thinkers, to be people that can work in any place because of the characteristics that they have learned. If we revert back and we look at our seamless learning experience design, I think that's a really helpful framework to bring all of these pieces together and always check is this part. So I think that brings us to the end of our discussion. And thank you for everyone that is watching our podcast, listening to our podcast. We hope that this has inspired you to think a bit deeper about including all the aspects so we can send our students as success as a student who will reach success in their career.
Thank you, Helga. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And thanks for listening. I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you, everybody.